Here we are on the next video, and what we're going to be doing here is the next one that we've got to work with in the photography Photoshop session is an overexposed image, and I've got an overexposed image for us in the photos for fixing. So if you go into the bridge and go to your photos for fixing, and down here somewhere there's an image we've called One Stop Over, and if I open this, there's the raw image. I think what we'll do is we'll open the JPEG image, because most of you are probably still working with JPEGs, and this will take us straight into Photoshop. While Camera Raw has got some terrific methods for dealing with this type of image, we want to really investigate what we can look at in Photoshop. So here's the image with the overexposure, and if we look at the histogram here, we can see that if you're not seeing the histogram panel, then you go up to Window and click on Histogram, and the histogram panel will come up. And the little icon in the histogram panel here is indicating that we're looking at what might not be the latest version of the histogram. So if we click on that, it just updates it to make sure it's current, and you can do that at any time. And the histogram's showing that we've certainly got clipping on the right hand side of in the white area here. So this is where all the whites are, and this photograph is heavily overexposed with some pretty shocking clipping. And I can tell that too by going here to my info panel, which is on my flyout here, and if I move my cursor over here, notice in these white areas where my eyedropper is. In fact, I'll change that to my move tool. No matter what tool you've got, whatever cursor you're moving around here, it's showing up here the actual readings for the pixels. They're all switched on. 255, 255, 255 means pure white. So there's absolutely no information in that section of the image, and so there's nothing really we can do about that part, but we can make the overall image look a little bit better. So one of the things we can do is we can directly go to Image, Adjustments, and we can go to I beg your pardon, the first thing we should look at is Image Auto Tone, and let's see what that does. So if I click on Auto Tone, it automatically tries to bring the luminance of each of those channels that we've got in there back to a more satisfactory range. You didn't see a big difference, so I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to go to Edit, Undo, and I'll go to Image Auto Contrast, and let's see the difference this makes. And you can see a more dramatic difference there, but really not a massive difference again. So I'll undo that one again, and I'll go to Auto Color now. And again, you can see that it has kind of improved the image a little bit, but we'll undo that too. So those are the automatic things that you can use that you're probably not going to do an awful lot of. The next thing I'll go to though is Image Adjustments, and we'll go to Brightness Contrast. So it's on a flyout there, as you can see. And there's an automatic function here where I can just click Auto, and it's going to preview that. And the latest version of Photoshop in CS6, it's this brightness contrast. It used to be a kind of maybe a little bit Mickey Mouse in its way it operated, and no professional would really use it. Now it uses a fairly sophisticated algorithm to get the information here, and it doesn't do too bad a job most of the time. And you can see there that it's made a reasonable kind of an effort. Now if I click on this little preview checkbox here, you can see the difference that's made, and I can still make adjustments here. So if I still think, oh, I want a little bit less brightness in the image, I can pull it one way or the other there. I can increase the contrast or decrease the contrast if I think that's a little bit too much, and still make adjustments there. Okay, and but in this case I'm going to cancel that. So let's have a look at the histogram here too, by the way. I'll just update it, and you can see there that it's now spaced out because it's had to adjust some of the pixels and move them around a little bit. It's kind of a higgledy-piggledy, very much altered histogram there. But I'm going to cancel that too and show you yet another method. So that was under image adjustments, and there are also other sections there like levels where we can look at adjustments. We'll go into those in a subsequent movie, but the better way to handle the adjustments is using the adjustments layers, because when we made those adjustments in the I'll quickly just go to brightness contrast here and actually get this activating. And so this is the same dialogue that I'm getting that we used before. The big difference here though is that this is created a layer to add these adjustments. And this is what we call non-destructive editing, so that anything we do here isn't going to impact on the underlying layer. So it's always going to be there. As long as we save it as a Photoshop document, it's always going to be there to get back to the original again. So there it's done the same thing again, and again I can still make adjustments to those sliders there, but I might just leave that as it is. And notice here now I'll just minimize this panel, and notice here I can turn off that layer, and we're just looking at the original again there. So our original is on that bottom layer, and this is a very low level small data layer. It doesn't increase the size of the image by much and allows us to still activate it. So if I want to activate it again, I just double click on that, brings up the panel, and I've got all the controls there to reactivate it. So a pretty handy way to work on an image that you want to just make some quick adjustments to for brightness and contrast. So I'll end that movie on that note.